As you saw through the highlights reel here, and many of you in walks through our buildings, there's a huge buzz in our school district. There's a huge buzz and lots of energy and strength and goodwill and all sorts of things that are happening already this school year. And much of it kind of owing back to last year and the last couple of years as we've continued to build the team and build the culture and focus on teaching and learning, focus on our children and serving them and ensuring that they have what they need. Unfortunately, that buzz, that energy is in some ways marred and complicated by some pretty substantial facilities challenges that we've had, that we continue to have actually, and even into the start of this school year. Unfortunately, the excitement and focus on teaching and learning has been marred by some of those challenges, and specifically challenges around our heating and cooling, our air conditioning system. And I know that some of you board members have received complaints and feedback from parents, from perhaps scholars, community members. We've gotten calls from the Mississippi Department of Education, the Jackson Teachers Union, and others, and of course our team members have shared concerns about air conditioning, and of course in these record setting hot, excessively hot days, it's all the worse, just dealing with that. And so I wanted to name that. And with the age of our buildings and the supply chain issues that we continue to deal with, the challenges in getting new boilers, not boilers, but chillers, getting new motors for chillers and many of the other parts that are needed. And with the stretched labor union, labor force, these issues are likely to continue for as long as we operate the number of buildings that we're currently operating. The AC systems are extremely fragile. Many of them in many of our schools, if not most of our schools, are beyond their life expectancy. And the repairs that we make consistently, I would dare say daily, multiple times a day, the repairs that we're making to our AC units last for only a short while. As I mentioned, parts are getting harder and harder to find for our outdated systems. And we need more funding. And the funding that we have right now, we have a window in which, I know you all know this, but just to remind, to state for those who might not know this, there is a window in which we can spend these funds. And by the way, we spend and get reimbursed for them, so we also have to have the funds in hand in order to spend them and then get reimbursed by the federal government through the state government. But we need those funds. We have only a year left to expend the funds that we have. We also need time outside of school hours. And so the thought that we could do this work on the weekend or in the evenings or even over the summer is just wrong. It's false. And we've heard over the last several months lots of concerns from parents and community members about co-locating schools with other schools in an effort to do some of this work. And so I'm clear that that's not ideal and that there are lots of concerns around it, but without the money to do the work and without time outside of school days where we can open up ceilings and take the whole system offline and work in dust and maybe even asbestos and all those sorts of things that would have to be addressed in such major repair work. Without that time, we would be stretched in trying to do the work that needs to be done. So, but I mentioned the schools that we're operating, the number of schools that we're operating, because while this issue has been reverberating over some time, it's coming to a head. We have, as I noted, in many of our schools, HVAC systems, heating and cooling systems, that are outdated beyond their life expectancy. It's getting to the point where we can't get the parts even to fix those. And so we need to replace them. I've just talked about the challenges with replacing them. You have to take the schools offline and have kids out of the buildings, and you have to have the parts and the expertise and all that. Running a business, because as much as we focus on teaching and learning, there is a business to running schools. And running a business, at some point, we've got to make the determination on where to best spend our dollars. Does it truly make sense to replace whole heating and cooling units in buildings that are severely underutilized based on the number of scholars that we have? By comparison, board members, Rankin County School District has 28 schools that they operate, 28, and they serve just over 18,000 scholars. Now, that's just one school district. We can look at several others. That's just one school district that's right near us. And by comparison, we're maintaining 51 or 50 plus school buildings for an enrollment size that's just at 18,000. And by the way, now, not by much, but Rankin County has more scholars than Jackson Public Schools. We're operating almost double the size, double the number of schools, and serving a slightly smaller enrollment size of scholars. Board members, we brought to you a proposal to raise classified staff salaries, and unanimously you supported that. And so we were able to raise the compensation for our classified team members to include our HVAC and plumbing and electrical and carpentry and all those folks who help to keep our buildings maintained. Still, we are challenged in maintaining the team because they are in such high demand. Maintaining the folks who can help us to get our systems back online, who have some knowledge of these aging systems and how to work with them to keep them running just a little while longer. We just spent, as an emergency, and I know this is before the board again today, as an emergency purchase, we just spent over $270,000 purchasing repairs or making repairs and purchasing units to try to help cool our buildings. We've also enlisted the support of several outside heating and cooling contractors, paying them more than $700,000 in labor and repair parts for these aging buildings that continue to fail us. As I said earlier, I continue to hear from parents. As I understand it, I believe there's some folks here tonight who have comments about heating or about cooling. We continue to hear from scholars. We've gotten calls from the Mississippi Department of Education. They're concerned as well. We're concerned. I get texts every morning, about buildings that are not cooling, from team members who are drastically trying to determine what we can do to fix the building, or to move scholars from one room to another, or to move scholars to another building and co-locate someplace else while we try to get the part in, or get some portable units in to cool buildings. Thankfully, we've got partners like Jackson State University who are willing, at the drop of a dime, to allow us to bring in our entire 9th grade class at Jim Hill High School for 2 days last week. At no cost to us, no real questions asked, just how can we help? They were able to support us in that way, and I'm sure there are others who would be willing to support us in that way. So I'm going on, and I should also name the Hinds County Human Resource Agency, who took in our entire school of pre-Kers from Van Winkle into their facility. I believe they too were displaced for 2 days last week. And so I'll wrap with this, board members. This is weighing heavy on my heart. I know that we've got a board of folks who care deeply about our scholars and our team members and communities and want to make the right decisions. I wanted to share a little bit more of the context of what's happening. I promise you, this team is not sitting on their hands, ignoring the challenges in our buildings. No, we did not wait until the start of school to address failing systems. There were systems that were working in June and not working as of a day or so before the start of school. There were systems that were working on Friday and were not working on Monday. So again, I say to you, we are not sitting on our hands waiting on things to fall apart. Your superintendent worked alongside many others to install portable air conditioners at a school. What do I know about that? Not much. But I was cutting cardboard to get the units installed because we brought in hundreds of portable units. This issue is not one that will go away, and it's going to require us to make some huge and very difficult decisions. But I promise you, the decisions will be tough, but life is tough today. So I just urge us to, we will be coming, let me say this, we will be coming to you, board members, and before you out to community to talk in earnest and with specifics about schools that we simply cannot continue to operate for a number of reasons, not the least of which is we can't keep our scholars and team members in spaces that are not conducive to learning. And so I welcome any questions you have about these comments. I hate that I'm having to have this conversation on this first board meeting after the start of the school year with so much good that's happening in Jackson Public Schools. It's incredible how much good is happening in this district. But this issue is sapping energy throughout the district. And if we don't arrest it, it could have reverberating effects on our scholars.